song like that, it's time we just take a little moment together. Now, songs like that don't get written. They come from above. It speaks of all our lives. No? Did we wait too long? If there's someone close, this is where I get preachy. You ready? I'm going to preach. I'm going to be a preacher now. If there's somebody close to you, if there's somebody close to you and they think you're in the dark, and they love you so much the way that you love them, but you forget how much they love you because you're busy thinking about how much you love them, you're going to have to turn the light on so they can see it. We'll play some Bob Dylan. We'll play some Billy Joel, some Frank Sinatra, some Elton John, some Beatles, some Leonard Cohen, some Tom Waits, some Eagles, some Paul Simon, and some Bette Midler. In the desert, with the fresh smell of colitas, which is a cactus, maybe the journey you're on, if you stay on the journey, is better than the destination if you give up on the journey. Some destinations are actually a trap. That's what this song's about. I'm a huge Billy Joel fan. I think Billy Joel and Bob Dylan were the two people who made me get obsessed with songwriters and the craft of writing and the chord structures and the jazz and all. Jazz players, Chet Baker and Keith Jarrett. Songwriters, Billy Joel and Bob Dylan. The derivation of the piece is a cyclical loop between struggling for inspiration, finding inspiration, being elevated by inspiration, and being knocked down by fate. The bit that's knocked down by fate is that trying to find inspiration during the dark noise, starting to elevate, reaching a high. He's a wonderful voice, the most beautiful voice in the world, but I don't think he's as much an actor. I think Pavarotti, when he sings the story, he brings his whole life into every word. Greatest singer that ever was.
He lost all that weight and died.
That'd be a lesson to you. Keep eating.
Yeah.
My favourite, here I've got Mahler with me. Gustav Mahler is my favourite. Da-da-da-dun, da-da-da-dun. I listen to class, I listen to jazz. Music is like, classical music is just like jazz stretched out. A person who took their own life. It's the greatest tragedy that could exist in this brief life that we have. And the parents of the girl had the person committed to some mental institution, and she took her life. And James Taylor was a big star and very close. And he says, I was on tour and I got the message. And he wrote that this was his way of dealing with it. Writing songs or music, writing poetry is a great way of dealing with stuff. So he did this. Just yesterday morning, they let me know you were gone. Suzanne, the plans they made put an end to you. If a person gets upset or angry about something, which we're all susceptible to at times in our lives, the smartest thing to do is write it down. But if you keep writing it down forever and never somehow manage to deal with the problem, all you're left with is your paper gun. You know, it's all down paper. Gun, paper, gun, paper, gun. Gun, paper, gun, paper, gun. Gun, paper, gun, paper, gun. Soon they'll be seeing the light. Bang, 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 bang. Like a social misfit, you play the scene. It's good and bad, and everyone saw you think you'll come out clean. Well, I won't give you the pleasure, from me you won't get a rise. Anyway, you're blissfully unaware of why you should be despised. Never rub another man's rhubarb. Always good advice. And there's a song by a Scottish dustman, and the song's called Dignity. And he saves up all his life to buy a little boat, and the name of the boat is Dignity. And he's a dustman. So here it is.
In a sunglass bag, and the children call him Bogey. But he's got a wee secret. I know, because he once told me.
In the second city of the empire, Mother Glasgow watches over her wains. Wains means children. Trying hard to feed her little starlings. Unconsciously, she clips their little wings. Oh, Mother Glasgow's succor is perpetual, nestling the Billy and the Tim. Now, Billy is a Rangers supporter, and a Tim is a Celtic supporter, and the Billies are Protestants, and the Celtic supporters are Catholics. And on the crest of the Glasgow symbol is St. Mungo, with a picture of a fish that never swam, a bell that never rang, the fish that never swam, and the tree that never grew. I dreamt I took a dander with St. Mungo to try to catch a fish that couldn't swim. And I will only perform it with an audience who can be to some degree sympathetic to that we all go through some pretty gnarly stuff in our lives.
Well, not just sympathetic, but empathetic.
So fare thee well on your journey, life is short. I'll see you in hell. Just as sorry for what I am not. Where our charm and our humor, unless of course God is a rumor, and being made of ice, just as we are so nice, will catch no sympathy. If it's all serendipity, then to save us the heat. Maybe both of us think people are just pieces of meat. Darkest of situations, to try and find common ground is the point of the song is that in the darkest of situations, the only way to find common ground is to admit that you also are not so perfect. If you have a scoreboard against somebody, and you've got a list of things, and you're right, you're absolutely right. That's true. This list of things, they did this, they did this, they did this, and you're right. They should go to jail. But you're not looking at your own list. You're so looking on that list that you don't want to look at your own list. So the point of the song at the end is to try and put you both in the same category. You say you give me a highway with no one on it. You treasure just to look upon it. Active choice. Turn your head towards the good. It won't make the bad go away, and it won't make the bad better. It's still going to be there. But what you look at's up to you. The answer, my friend, is... So if the answer is blowing in the wind, that has an ambiguity to three possible meanings. Either the answer's out there in the wind blowing... the answer's blowing in the wind, go and find it. Or maybe the answer is going with the flow, blowing in the wind. Or maybe the answer is going against the flow, blowing in the wind. But at this given junction, we appear to be having a good time, so there's no sense in spoiling a good thing. So I'm going to spoil a good thing. I'd love to be able to do it more, because it's got, the piano's got black keys and white keys. It's dark and light,
Well, it expresses such emotion. I think we've all been there at one point or another, where we felt that kind of way, the love and the anger.
So this song is made of two parts, and one part represents people who are comfortable in their faith, and one represents people who wish they had that, aspiring to it. You know Elton John?
Yeah.
Right, so Elton John had a roadie. You know what a roadie is? A roadie is the guy who comes around with you and schleps all the equipment, all the bags and the boxes. I am also the roadie for myself at this junction, but you can say you knew me when. So he had a roadie called Guy. The fellow's name was Guy, and the fellow passed away, and he was with Elton John for decades on the road, traveling with him, so he wrote a song for him. And he did a very clever thing in the song where he makes an ambiguous line. There's one line that repeats in the whole song, and the line is, life isn't everything. But you can have life isn't everything? Isn't everything life? Life isn't everything? Or life isn't everything? One of these days you'll rise up singing. You'll make your own way. You'll do what you've got to do, step up to the plate. But until that day, there's nothing can harm you with Daddy and Mummy standing by. You know what? If Daddy and Mummy weren't standing by, maybe you'd have gone out the door a bit quicker. So this fellow, Ivor, is my dad's cousin, and he is probably genuinely, not in a superficial way, really by achievement and graft, the most successful Jew there's ever been in Glasgow. He had built a company called Lynn Products. It makes hi-fi, turntable, and it's the highest quality, and he provides, David Bowie has his system, the Queen had his system, all of us all. And he signed a band. They never usually got involved with bands, but he signed this band called the Blue Nile. And this was the Blue Nile's hit. Do I love you? Yes, I love you. But it's easy come and it's easy go. All this talking is only bravado. Thank you so much, thanks. I just also realized in that song, I think he's letting us all know, sometimes we all feel like a fool. We're scared of being a fool, nothing to be afraid of. He's saying, we all feel like a fool, and you know what? We all get to see that beautiful sun going down, no matter how many silly mistakes we made, or how silly we are. It's a brilliant piece of writing. Now let's see.
Have you been here before? Is that what you said?
I've been here before.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I wish it comes back.
I've been here quite a few times now.
Yes.
You're my favourite audience in the entire Southern Hemisphere. So this is for Essie, and Mahler wears it now. And Mahler, I was explaining, wrote, I'm not a massive classical kind of buff, but Mahler wrote the fifth. Beethoven wrote a fifth. Da 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 da, da 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 da. And Mahler wrote a fifth. He went the same amount of notes, in the same order, but going up the way. So I was saying, I think he's arguing with Beethoven, because he called it the fifth. That was the reason for music. It was deep thoughts without music, and everyone fell asleep. So they brought music along to make the deep thoughts transmittable. That's the history of music, according to me. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. You're a lovely bunch. I thank you so much for listening. Oh, by the way, I've got to tell you, on Amazon, you can see my book. I wrote a book. What I do is I fill it up with this stuff.
Water.
I fill it up with this stuff, but one has to create the illusion of having a good time. It's part of the entertainment program. What to do when you're in a song, how to let people be personal with you in an intimate song. Well, lady like you every now and then gotta see something new. Just 'cause y'all seen a lot of things don't mean there ain't nothing new to see.
Paul is one of the most enthusiastic and energetic people I've ever met, and you've probably already noticed that. So, without further ado, I'd like to introduce to you Baby Tosh.
One more?
for me what even Jesus did. Sent me back to Christianity. Sent me back to God.